Hi, and welcome back to Hook Eat Up. Today I've got Thanksgiving on my mind. We're going to be making a rum raisin apple tart that's super simple, and I'm going to show you how to make it. So to make this recipe, you're going to need the following ingredients. You're going to need some pre-made pie crust. Now, like I said, this is an easy recipe, so I'm going with the pre-made stuff. You can make your own if you'd like. I have 2 apples here, one Red Delicious and one Granny Smith. One is sweet, one is sour. That mixture really brings it out in the dish. Cinnamon, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of butter. I have about a 1/4 cup of raisins. Now these raisins have been soaked in rum for 4 hours, but if you want a stronger rum flavor in your raisins, let them soak longer. I'm also going to be using these tart dishes. I like these tart dishes because they have a ridge that's kind of decorative in a way, and they're going to make the dish look totally more sexy. Now, if you don't have these tart dishes, you could always go with a regular pie dish, or you could actually freeform this dish and it's really not going to make a difference. It's still going to come out just as delicious. Now to start off on this dish, I'm going to get going on the apples. So what I want to do is I want to peel these apples and cut them into nice wedges. So now that I have these apples peeled, I'm going to split them in half and get the core out. To do that, what I'm going to do is cut this down the middle. And with my spoon here, I'm going to get all this roughing out. Just scoop it out like it's some ice cream. It's going to be a little rougher than ice cream, but just scoop out all the hard bits with a spoon, and that helps to improve the shape of the final slice that you're going to be making. Now this gets all the roughing out in the core and keeps it nice and smooth for a better look overall. Now with the apples all cleaned up and cored, we're going to start cutting small wedges. I'm going to cut this in half first, because that gives me a little more control over how it looks. And then we're going to cut 1/8 inch thick apple slices. And what we're looking to get is these nice thin semicircle wedges. I'm going to keep doing that until we have all the apples sliced. Now I'm also discarding the final bits just because they won't look as nice, but if you were making an apple pie, you would just want all those pieces in there. But since we're making an apple tart and we're going to be trying to go for the final look, it's better to have these semicircle wedges. Now that these apples are all sliced, I'm just going to move them into a bowl that I can mix in. We're going to get these all seasoned and flavored up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to melt down some of this butter in a saucepan. And while the butter is melting, I'm just going to drain out the rum from the raisin mix and add that directly to the apples. Now that I have my butter all melted, I'm going to add the sugar directly to the butter. And then I'm going to just dust this entire mix with some cinnamon. Now you probably want to use about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon. You don't want to overwhelm it with cinnamon because then it's going to taste only like cinnamon. It's going to start to get that grit. So go light on the cinnamon, but enough to impart the flavor. Now we're going to give this a good stir with the cinnamon and sugar and butter. And then we're going to just drizzle that right atop these apples. Just gonna stir this all together. Now you don't want to crack these wedges because you want them to stay in the same shape. So just give this a nice toss just to get the flavors spread out and all the apples coated. You don't want to be too aggressive with this. Just keep it simple and light. Give them a nice stir. Just get everything all spread out. Now that we have the apples and raisins coated with the cinnamon and sugar mix, we're going to set this off to the side and get going on the tart crust. So now for the crust, I'm just going to open up this ready-made pie crust. So we're going to open this up. It's 9 inches and the tart trays are about 4 inches each. So we should be able to get adequate circles from that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my tart tray, lay it face down, the widest part down, right on top of the pie crust. And then I'm just going to cut a rough circle right around this, just so I know that I have enough to fill it, and then enough to trim off the edges. So with one crust cut, I'm just going to set it down right inside the tray and press it in. So that it fills the edges and comes to the top. Now this is why you want to cut just a little more, because if you cut it even, it's going to be a little too short. So once it's all pressed up, just trim off the edges right with your fingers, and you have one tart ready to go. Now we're just going to repeat this until we have all 4 filled. Now that I have all my tarts with their pie crust on the inside, and I have all these extra trimmings, you can ball these up, save them in a Ziploc bag, and you can use them for future pie recipes. I have a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil, just in case we get a little bubble over, any dripping from this recipe. You want to kill your cookie sheet. You could use parchment paper if you'd like. And what we're going to do is grab these apples, and we're just going to fill the bottom of this tart dish with these apples. Now that we have our tarts all filled and the oven preheated to 425 degrees, we're going to put this into the oven to bake for around 30 minutes or until the crust are nice and golden brown. You're going to want to check on them from time to time at about that 30-minute mark. So these tarts are now ready. I had them in the oven for about 45 minutes until the crust came to that golden brown color that I was talking about. Now that I let them cool down, it's easy for me to handle without getting myself burnt. Now you could serve this one of 2 ways. You can either have it straight up, or you could serve it with some ice cream, whatever your choice is. Now the cool thing about these tins is that the bottom punches out, so it makes it real easy to separate the pastry from the tray itself. And there you have it, your super simple rum raisin apple tarts. Now I hope you tried this recipe for Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy it. Now if you're not already a subscriber to Hook Eat Up, now's that time. Hit that subscription button, don't forget to like, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you've done with this recipe, and let me know what you would have done a little bit differently. But for the meantime, I'm going to dig in and enjoy my future videos.